Also, he said another hadith, which means that whomever Allah Ta'ala willed goodness for him, Allah makes this person knowledgeable in the religion. So, from this hadith, the scholars also said it is understood from the hadith that whomever Allah Ta'ala did not will goodness for, this person would not be knowledgeable in the religion. So it is a good sign in the believer when the believer is constantly seeking to learn more, and the person is keen in acquiring knowledge, and he listens. Even if he heard that knowledge again, he would hear it a second time and a third time. He does not have enough of it. Inshallah ta'ala, we will go over this book that our dear sister shared with you in the group, the clear statement or the lucid word, which is the translation of Al-Qawl Al-Jali, which is a very, very precious book. Our goal here is to understand, inshallah. We're not going to go into too many details and depth for this time, and inshallah we will go over it together in the upcoming weeks. Some of you might have already gone over this book several times, and there is no harm whatsoever in repeating and hearing it again with a sincere intention. On the contrary, with a sincere intention, there is reward by that. And those of you who are hearing it for the first time, inshallah, you will learn this precious knowledge. The book entails a lot of information that is obligatory and that is very important for the accountable person to learn. Inshallah, we will abide in this book by the expressions of the scholars. So even though we are all here speakers of the English language, but I advise you, when you are teaching this knowledge to anyone else, to abide by the expressions in the book, because as you know, many people went over it, and to proofread it, to make sure that it is accurate as much as they tried. And it is very important to adhere to these expressions so that the knowledge of the religion is transmitted from one person to the other in an authentic way, in an authentic chain, where we are not deviating from the proper path. We want to follow the creed of the Prophet ﷺ at all times. We want to at all times comply with the teaching of the Quran. And this knowledge, the Prophet ﷺ, the knowledge of Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, he taught it to the companions, and they conveyed it to their followers, and their followers conveyed it to their followers, and so forth until it reached us. So it is very, very precious knowledge. We should take care of it. We should make sure to transmit it to others with a sincere intention. And I remind you of what the scholars said, that nowadays what people need the most of is the knowledge of the religion. This is what people need the most of nowadays. Not other than that. They might have other needs, but the most important need that they have right now is acquiring this knowledge. And you and I know that it is rare nowadays, unfortunately, to find this knowledge spreading among people. Subhanallah, it is very precious knowledge, but not many people are putting any effort into learning it or into transmitting it. So, inshallah ta'ala, you and I will be among those who continue learning until death, and inshallah we will be among those who teach what we have learned in the proper way without any deviation. We teach it to others with a real effort, a strong effort in doing that, because there is a great need for that. So in the creed, there was no difference among the scholars in matters pertaining to Tawheed. The book not only comprises knowledge of the basics of the creed, but it also includes matters of fiqh. In the matters of fiqh, this Sheikh, rahimahullah, he complied with the teachings of Imam al-Shafi'i. May Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him. So in matters of fiqh, there are some differences among the scholars, and one can go by either. Again, I repeat, this is in matters of fiqh. One can go by that scholar or another, but this book covers the path or the methodology, let's say, of Imam al-Shafi'i radiyallahu anhu. The author, may Allah have mercy on him, said, I start with the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman, whose abundance mercy is inclusive of the believers and non-believers in this life and specific to the believers in the hereafter. Ar-Rahim, whose abundant mercy is for the believers. This means the rahmah of Allah Ta'ala, the mercy of Allah Ta'ala in this life is for both believers and non-believers. In this life, I repeat, it is inclusive of believers and non-believers. As to the hereafter, the mercy of Allah is for the believers only. For the believers only. So he said, I mention, meaning the name of Allah, seeking blessings by it, along with affirming that all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. He is the owner of everything that came into existence, and everything other than Allah is created. When we say it is created, it means it came from non-existence into existence. Who brought it from non-existence into existence? Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala is the creator. Only Allah Ta'ala brings things from non-existence into existence. So Allah Ta'ala is the owner of all the creation. He is the one who brought them into existence. Allah Ta'ala is Al-Hayy. This means He is attributed with life. Allah Ta'ala is attributed with life, which is not like our life, because we know that all the attributes of Allah do not resemble the attributes of the creation. Allah Ta'ala does not resemble any of His creation, and the attributes of Allah do not resemble the attributes of the creation. This is among the jewels of the creed. Always, always keep that firm in your heart. Whatever anybody tells you, you always refer back to that belief that you have in your heart, and you never contradict it. You always have certainty in your heart that our Lord, Allah, is not like His creation at all. And His attributes do not resemble the attributes of the creation whatsoever. So from that then you know that if someone comes and tells you, and if he says that Allah has a body, and that is kufr, that contradicts the basics of the belief, you know immediately that this is not true, because that contradicts the basics of the belief. It contradicts the Tawheed. It contradicts that Allah Ta'ala is not like His creation at all. Who has a body? The creation. Something that is created. We have bodies and we are created. So for sure, Allah does not have a body. If someone comes to you and tells you that Allah has a face, you know this is absolutely not true, because you know for sure that Allah is not like us. We have a face, so Allah does not have a face. Even if this person claims that this is in the Quran, you know that this is not true, because the belief that Allah is not like His creation at all. This is what the Quran teaches. This is what the Quran teaches. The Quran teaches us that Allah is not like His creation whatsoever. So if someone claims that the Quran teaches that Allah has eyes, you know for sure that this is not true. For the verses of the Quran do not contradict each other. For sure not. Clear? So always refer back to that belief that nothing is like Allah at all. Someone comes to you and tells you Allah has a hand, you know it's not true. If they tell you Allah has a foot, you know this is not true. Whether they claim it's in the Quran, whether they tell you it's a hadith, you know it's not true. And if they want to come up with a hadith and they come and tell you, and this is the hadith, here you go, you know it is not true. What many, unfortunately, do nowadays is misinterpret verses and hadith. We will not go into depth about this in our lesson today, but just generally, so you would know, so you always protect yourself. This is what is happening, unfortunately, nowadays. Many are misinterpreting verses of the Quran and hadith of the Prophet. And that is because they did not acquire the knowledge from trustworthy, knowledgeable people. The knowledge of the religion, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, is not acquired from books alone by reading on one's own. This knowledge that is so precious, one learns it from trustworthy, knowledgeable teachers who acquired it from other knowledgeable, trustworthy teachers, and so forth until this chain goes back to the companions who acquired it from the Prophet ﷺ. So one does not read on his own from books to learn the Islamic knowledge. One does not go and ask Google or any websites on the internet to learn Islamic knowledge. One does not go to any random groups on Facebook, Instagram. No. Rather, one learns this precious knowledge from trustworthy, knowledgeable people. If you know that this lesson that was recorded and sent over the internet, you know the teacher who sent it, you know the speaker, you know for sure that this person is trustworthy and knowledgeable about what they're saying, then you take it. So one should be very cautious from whom one seeks this religious knowledge. So Allah Ta'ala is Al-Hayy. He is attributed with a life that is not like our life. All attributes of Allah have no beginning and no end. Allah Ta'ala has no beginning and no end to His existence. And He is eternal. This means His existence has no beginning. Only Allah Ta'ala, His existence has no beginning, because He's the creator. And we said that everything other than Allah is created. You know then that everything other than Allah has a beginning to its existence because it is created. It means it did not exist. Allah created it, so it exists. It means it has a beginning. So everything other than Allah Ta'ala has a beginning to its existence. This world has a beginning. It's not eternal. No, it has a beginning to its existence. So Allah Ta'ala, the Creator, is eternal and everlasting. He has no beginning and no end to His existence. And the attributes of Allah have no beginning and no end to them. And they do not change. This is also something you always have firm in your heart, that Allah Ta'ala does not change. The attributes of Allah do not change. So these matters that I mentioned to always be firm about, you never deviate from them. You never deviate from the belief that Allah does not change and the attributes of Allah do not change. For whatever changes is a need of the one who specifies it with that change. I'll repeat. Whatever changes is a need of one who specifies it with that change. If it's a need, it is then created. It is not the creator, because Allah, the creator, is not in need. He is the creator. He does not need any of his creation. He existed eternally, and nothing else existed eternally with him. There was nothing among the creation eternally. So Allah is not in need of any of his creation. So Allah Ta'ala does not change. But let us say Tahleel before the session ends. Lillahi Ta'ala together 3 times. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات